Hello, today is the anniversary of the death in 1986 of Georgia O'Keeffe, one of the prominent artists of the 20th century. She started off teaching art, but in 1918 she went to New York, where she met Alfred Stieglitz, who admired her paintings and organised exhibitions for her and generally promoted her work until she became well known in her own right. I think he admired more than just her paintings, because he took nearly 200 pictures of her in the nude and another 300 as portraits of her. He was a photographer, and eventually they married. The relationship was clearly extremely passionate. They were caught in flagrante, as the saying goes, by Stieglitz's wife, and she banished him from the house on the spot. But eventually, after the divorce, they were able to set up, he and Georgia O'Keeffe, a home together in New York. But it was an open marriage, and it seems that Stieglitz took more advantage of this than Georgia O'Keeffe did, and developed in 1928 a long-term relationship with Dorothy Newman. And this clearly upset Georgia O'Keeffe greatly. She had a breakdown in 1933, which was probably the result of it. But before that, in 1929, just at the time that this relationship with Dorothy Newman started, she began going with some friends to New Mexico. And this became a place of enormous appeal to her. She loved the desert places. She says they're vast and empty and untouchable. They know no kindness in spite of all its beauty. And she says, I seemed to be hunting for something of myself out there. And I think that it may be a connection that the distress that Stieglitz having this affair brought her. She found some comfort in going to the desert, and found something there that gave back to her, as she says, gives her a sense of life, is how she described it. The landscape not only provided enormous opportunities for her art, but brought her personal encouragement. She used to go off in her Ford car on her own, travelling on her own. A woman on her own in those days was not a common thing, but she'd go off into the desert on her own in her little Ford car, and clearly this brought her enormous solace as well as creative stimulation. I just today wanted to celebrate those things which bring us solace and comfort and seem to give us life, landscapes, maybe places that really matter to us, where we go to and find our souls enriched, maybe a countryside view, maybe a city view, maybe even our own gardens, but somewhere outside where what we see sort of eats into our hearts and gives us new energy and new life because of its beauty, or because somehow or other what's out there echoes what's inside us. But let's today just celebrate views and places which really matter to us and enable us to find new richness in our lives.